Hello, everybody. It's Friday. It is July 10th, I do believe. Welcome to Friday. On Friday here at Beyond Indigo, we tend to do some focuses that are within our company or what we call marketing to self. Today, myself, Kelly Baltzell, CEO and owner of Beyond Indigo, is being joined by our COO Jeanne Pelletier and Michael Brooks on our SEO team and Kate Matthews, our blog manager. And we have kind of something fun we want to talk about today, and that we're actually still walking through. So here's the premise, and you guys can follow along and maybe come up with some of your own thoughts. But now that we're into COVID and we're into July concept and into the first Friday or really the second Friday in July, we're looking towards the fall. And the concept is, okay, COVID hit, we all just buckled down, try to get through it, juggled many things in life as well as work, and with the hopes it would be over soon. Well, it's July, doesn't look like it's over yet. And so we're like, well, how do we look forward? So being the owner of the company, I kind of thought about this. And we have a couple of immovable forces. One being life. So we have parents in Beyond Indigo. We have parents with children of all school ages, actually from infants on up through college age. We have senior citizens in our lives. We have parents in our lives who, as my mother said, never wants to go to a death trap or senior care because she says that's where you now for sure die. So a lot of maybe seniors are moving back into our households instead of going to independent living places. We might be taking care of children that aren't ours while other adults work come fall because we just don't know where school is. And Beyond Indigo has employees in 14 different states, which means 14 different laws, 14 different situations, not to mention all the microcosms of different rules from the cities. Okay, so that's life. That's what we as a company, that's what, as we say, the tapestry of Beyond Indigo, individual people come to work with. Well, okay, well, that's not going to change. We can't make schools change. We can't make life change. We can't make COVID go away, although all of us would raise our hand and say, yeah, we would like that. So that doesn't change. And then an employee has to earn a job or has to earn money because that's a roof over their head. That's food on the table. It's what pays the bills. So what happens to the employee? They're stuck between all these life issues and they're stuck between the job issue. And now they're trying to have to figure it out. Well, I think that's dumb. So it's not what we're going to do here in Beyond Indigo. And we're reinventing ourselves into a version of 2.0, which is actually, after our staff meeting and conversation, we're really redefining what the idea of an employee is. And that's what we're coming to discuss with you today. Because what is an employee today? We have some opinions about that at Beyond Indigo. And we want to share them with you. So at Beyond Indigo, moving forward, just so everybody knows, I have told employees they can't homeschool and work at the same time. Homeschool comes first, we'll work around it. It's not going to be the other way around where you work and then try to fit in schoolwork. No, pay attention to your child, get that done. We as the company, we're the flexible, fluid variable in this scenario right now. So we as a company are going to change. So we have some ideas. And Kate, tell us about this. Tell us a little bit about kind of the life thing that puts you in the middle of the work thing and kind of, you had some good ideas.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. It's a really spectacular thing being able to work at a company that is so life forward to consider this. And I really feel a lot like it's something that more companies need to look at, as this blend is starting to come around and figure out a hybrid between that work-life balance, especially when so much of it is focused at home. Mm-hmm. In Idaho right now, we're all scheduled to start back on August 17th, but we just don't know. Idaho's caseload is growing so fast that everything is changing day to day, almost more here than it is in a lot of other places across the country. On top of that, I have a 15-year-old son who's starting high school. And so not only do I not know what that would look like if we were in the classroom, but I really don't know what that would look like if we were trying to homeschool as well. So I have kind of approached it looking at this whole idea of, you know, depending on what your position is and where you are in the structure, I think that has a lot to do with it. But as much as you can, trying to let go of that notion of a shift, to trust your employees that they will get things done. We know when we have meetings, we know when our deliverables are, we know what our deadlines are. And as long as those are being met and we're working within the parameters of what is expected, whether or not we're working from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. should not matter so much. You know, it's all about communication. It's about being able to connect with your partners and your team members and get things done, talk about what we need, here's what we're going. Because some days too, you know, a Thursday might be a perfectly lovely day to work all day, but that may be the only time you can get in to see your doctor, see your dentist, or something like that for the next 3 months. There's got to be kind of that ebb and flow of life that can be balanced between what your responsibilities are at home and what your responsibilities are at work, without that hammer kind of coming down on you for not making every keystroke that is needed to be made in a 45-second period of time, or however that works in other companies. So yeah, I think that that's really one of our greatest resources, and something I would like to see kind of prevail as this becomes, you know, hopefully a new normal for a lot of people, is that there's the respect and the trust and the communication needed to let people balance their lives and personal and professional a lot more effectively, and in a way that doesn't cause us that need to collapse.
And so treat you like a human being, right?
Absolutely. We are.
Yeah,
right.
Also, like, it should be a right. You know, I think for too long in employment places, human beings were treated as a widget or a piece of the cog, right? And are still in some places are. And I can't talk for a production line. We can talk for service industries, right? Because that's what we do. But it's even just, what is the concept of who is the employee? Well, they're a human being. And so give them that honored right and trust them that they have a brain and that they want to do their best, right? You can put
Absolutely.
I think just the whole premises of what you said is trust us. We know what's right. We're an adult. This is why you raise children, is to grow up, right? To trust them. So I love that. So Michael, what are your views on this and your thoughts since we've had kind of opening up of this discussion?
Yeah, and it's so important because looking at it from a human aspect, is so much compassion that is involved in just raising a family and raising children, so much nurturing and care along the way from start to finish. And as an adult, you know, that's a heavy responsibility that's on your shoulders, is to be able to guide someone along the right path and then kind of continue with them along that path and making sure that they're keeping straight and they're not going to the left or right. And when you have that flexibility and you have a company that really cares and trusts you, and recognizing that, you know, you have needs and concerns that are outside of work, that sometimes, like, especially with COVID, that is out of your hands. This is not the ideal circumstance that you would think of that you would have to deal with on the everyday. But having that flexibility of, you know, being able to come in early, and then being able to be there when kids wake up to be able to get them situated from schooling. So now you're the lunch lady, you know, you're the guidance counselor, you know, you're the gym teacher inside the house. You're trying to think of ways to keep them focused and burn off energy. And then you still have work concerns too, but it's always nice to know that everybody respects your time. They respect what you do, and everybody's flexible. You know, communication is a big key to success. So I think that's what helps make the company not only thrive, but us as, individuals with, busy lives and schedule and family concerns. It helps us to be able to do our job better and communicate with our loved ones more, because sometimes they need that extra touch along the way. I can remember a circumstance just the other week when my daughter had a complete meltdown. And it was me taking time out, of my day, of my schedule, just to be able to say, okay, let me sit the laptop to the side and what's really going on? How are you feeling? How is your day? What is going on in your mind? Because they have concerns and they have needs too. And it's hard for us as adults because we can't do the normal everyday things that we used to do. But imagine how the little ones feel and your children feel. They can't really connect with their friends like that. They can't go to school and they, can't go to the dance and just a bunch of different things. So having that care and compassion helps you be able to help them better. And I'm so appreciative for being able to have that.
You're welcome. And you're right, because what do you always say? I always try to look at it from the lens of my daughter. What is she going to remember about mom? Right? What's the story she's going to remember from her view? Is it that daddy never had time for her? In the case of your daughter, to listen to me because he was always on his laptop, or was dad always there for me when I needed it? Because kids don't need that much of time. They just need that time at that exact moment to need your attention. So yeah, that's cool. Jeanne?
Well, a lot of times people say to me, this sounds amazing, but how do you put it into practice? And one of the things we've really had to do is to relook at our work a little bit and look at it a little bit more granularly. What pieces of each of our jobs do we need to be at a certain time and place for? And if there's not a way to change that time and place, how can we work around that? In Michael and Kate's cases, they do have face-to-face client meetings, but then they have a lot of time where they're analyzing SEO results or writing reports or editing blog posts or coming up with blog strategies. And those are the flexible pieces. So what we try to do is to just deconstruct those jobs a little bit and say, okay, well, this job really involves maybe 15% of actual, being in front of people where you have to be there at a certain time and place. And when we run into issues with that, again, we work as a team and we work flexibly. We have some clients that they only have that 1 hour on Thursday to talk to us about their marketing. And so if one of our staff people has to be paying attention to a child during that time or has to do elder care at that time, that's when we utilize our teams. So we work in teams, and so maybe another team member meets with that client that particular day. So I think it's really a matter of keeping strong communication and taking a look at the jobs and not just assuming that every job needs to be done, at a desk from 9 to 5, that there are pieces of that we need to maintain. We are paying a lot of attention to the quality of the communication between our people and our teams. We don't want somebody working so many odd hours that we never have a chance to talk to them. So that, that's something we really look at. But I think if you look at jobs more granularly, you really realize that there's a lot of pieces to a lot of jobs that, can be handled on a flexible time schedule. And for those pieces that can't be, the team method, I think, works really, really well.
I would agree, Jeanne. Because we have spent a lot of time on this and a lot of discussion on it, but it really is, I think, some important words that are coming out of this that we've discussed, not just here, but offline, off this discussion is, number one, we are a team. So there's the whole concept of that you're not an individual who does a to-do list for a particular job. You're an individual that's part of a team that creates and gives to the whole. There are to-do lists, there are jobs, there are things like that. Communication and having the trust and the respect to communicate, because communication doesn't happen or open communication if you think you're going to get nailed. You know, if you're going to think you're going to be penalized or having the conversation, you're just not going to have the conversation because it's not worth being nailed for, right? Or being penalized for. So
without that trust, Kelly, if there's not that trust going both ways, then employees don't feel free saying to us, hey, you know what, I've got to bring my daughter to school, or my daughter's going to be homeschooled and I'm going to need to spend these 2 hours every morning working with her before her online class. So it's really, the communication goes both, the trust goes both ways.
It does. It's an open, honest thing. And again, treating people as human beings from one heart to another heart. We lost Kate, but we knew she was having technical difficulties, so we wish her well. But we're at the end of the show as well, since we only tend to focus on bite-sized pieces. But just stay tuned to the world out there, because we're figuring this out at Beyond Indigo. We are going to put the human first, because we're a life forward company, but we may also change that to a life and human forward company. So we're interested to partake on this journey, and we're also excited to share with you as we move along and figure out the nuggets of success for us. So I hope you all have a really great weekend, and thank you, Jeanne and Michael, for coming today, and we look forward to talking to the greater world out there about this as we move along. So talk to you all later.